Hi, I'm Matt from Educraft.org, the instructor and curriculum writer for our Minecraft mod making camps. And in addition to figuring out how the stupid focus works on my camera, which came with no documentation, today I'm going to show you how to create materials for your game. So generally when people make mods, they want to populate it with cool stuff you can put in the game. New tools, new armor, things like that. And one of the best ways to customize tools and armor is to create your own materials to make those things out of. And so I'm going to show you how to get started with populating the world with all of your cool new materials. First step, I'm going to show you how to make a new material for your tools. The way the game works is you have tool materials and armor materials, and you can essentially give the user of your mod the experience of these things being the same material, but in the way you set it up, you have to make a new you have to say whether it's a material or a tool material or an armor material. So what you're going to do is you're going to, in your initialization package, go to mod items and you create your materials here. So first I am going to create a new item material or a tool material. So it goes up here right under mod items where you put your item variables, all these things that we've been working on. I might have more stuff here than you. That's perfectly okay as long as it's inside of this curly bracket after mod items and it's above this init class. Okay, so I'm going to put it close to where I stored my other tool material. So I'm going to go to, or I'm going to type public static because it's it's treated like an item variable. Only in this case, I'm going to say final. Then I'm going to type item dot tool material, saying this new thing is going to be a tool material, and I'm going to call it, let's call it unobtainium, using a movie trope of an item. It's unobtainable, unobtainium. And then I'm going to use this feature called the enumerate helper. That's this kind of nifty little feature that you have in Forge, and that's going to help us sort of get lists of materials and things and features about your material and associate it properly. So I'm going to type enum helper dot add tool material. I'm going to, look at that, I'm going to name the material, and this is stored as a string, and I give it the same name as as my variable name. So in quotes, because it's a string, I'm going to type unobtainium. Okay. And so next up is the harvest level, and that's basically how good it is at harvesting things. So if you remember, when you want to harvest ore or materials, everything has a harvest level that you need. You can't harvest redstone with a wood pickaxe. You can't harvest obsidian with anything less than a diamond pickaxe. Okay, so these are just 1, 2, or 3. And I think because unobtainium is unobtainable, I'm going to set it at 3. It's just as good at harvesting as diamond. Okay, max uses means that's how many times you can use tools made out of that material. Because unobtainium is hard to get, I'm going to make it pretty strong. So I'm going to let you get 3,000 uses out of it. Diamond's in the hundreds. So this is pretty hardcore stuff we're dealing with here. Efficiency is how fast it is. Now this is going to be a little different because you store it as a float. That means it's a number with a decimal. It has to be followed by a decimal, even if you don't want a decimal. So if you look up here, I wanted material names efficiency to be 10. I still had to say 10.0, and then it's followed by an F. So I'm going to be about the same speed, 10.0 followed by a capital F. Okay. Next up is the damage it does to entities. So if I'm going to hit a monster with it. And an unobtainium is not very useful for a weapon, so I'm going to make its damage pretty low. It's going to be 1.0F. It's another float. And next up is its enchantability. That's a number from 1 to 100, and it's how it deals just with the quality of spells that are available when you try to enchant this item. This is an integer, not a float, so you just type a number, no decimal. And I'm just going to make this really enchantable, so I'm going to say 100. Nope, not 1,000, 100. I think gold is a pretty high one. That's why gold sucks to everything else, but it's very enchantable. Anyway, this is a line of code, so I end it with a semicolon. And boom, I've got a material. And if you want to make an item made out of this material, it's actually pretty simple. So what I can do is I can add a new, let's say, shovel. So I'm going to say public static item unobtainium spade, because into the code Minecraft calls shovels spades. Okay, and I'm going to scroll down to my init method, and I'm going to create my unobtainium. I'm going to find a new spot. Now you might not have as much stuff as I do, but as long as you insert this thing within these curly brackets, this curly bracket right under init and this curly bracket that ends it, these are things that go inside of this init method. So it's got to go inside of this init method, and regardless of what you have here, as long as it's in there inside of init method, this will work. So I'm going to go with unobtainium spade, not space, equals new item spade. Okay, and then the way items that are tool items generally work is inside of the arguments, these two parentheses, you just type the material name. So I'm going to type unobtainium. Okay, and I'm going to do the rest of the stuff that I like to do for items. You have to set a unlocalized name, and I'm going to call that out after my variable. So it's in unobtainium spade. I have to set a registry name, or your game will crash if you try to run it. And the set registry name usually is a little different. It's still a string, so it's in quotes, but you type whether it's an item or a block at the beginning. So I type item with a capital I, then I type unobtainium with a capital U, then I type spade with a capital S, and I want to see it in my creative tabs. So I type set creative tab, and in creative tabs I'm going to make it creative tabs dot that's a tool, so tools, so it's going to be in the tools. Okay, a few more things you got to do with pretty much every new item you made. You need to add it to the game registry. So game registry dot register, and I'll put the variable name in there, unobtainium underscore spade, and then I got to register render, tell the game that there's a texture for this, unobtainium underscore spade. Okay, and that ought to do it. So let's run the game and see if we can find it in creative mode in our creative tab. So I'm going to click the run, and we'll see if we can, oh yeah, of course, yeah. We'll see if we can get it from there. This is an easy one, guys. Okay, so I'm in the game now, and I'm going to open up my inventory, and I got my tools open, so you should be in creative mode to see if you found your item. And look at that, I found this item, unobtainium underscore spade. I'll add that to my list, and I got this. Now you guys know how to make textures. I showed you how to do that in another video. You make textures for this item no different than you would for anything else. So yeah, looks like we got a working tool material. Huzzah. Alright, so you've got a really killer spade now, and you can use this for pretty much any other item. Axes are a little weird, so you're going to want to check out my troubleshooting playlist and check out how to do axes, because it's a little different in Forge 1.9 and on. So next up though, we're going to learn how to make materials for armor. If you want to look really spiffy with your fancy armor on, you're gonna have to make your own armor material, and it's a little bit more involved than an item material, but not much. So we'll check that out next time.